are you still there? Or we should take a coffee break. Or you stand up, we stretch ourselves. So, something else that now, this is why I said I think it's 2 sermons in one. I've only talked about spirituality so far. So, maybe I'll rush on the second. Mnasema hivi and then you'll be like, bora wachungaji wale wengine. Kumbe ni yale anointing hiyo. Anointing by marriage. So, waiting on God. I felt it's important as well to talk about waiting on God because we're coming to the end of our fast. And apart from all the prayer points that we've been sharing and we've been praying for, I know that there are things that you are personally believing God for. So, how do we truly wait on God? Even on these prayer points, that wisdom we are praying for, it might not start manifesting tomorrow. It might not manifest next month or next year. You're praying for the spirit of might. My sister, my brother, you might still not be as bold as you wish you were. So what do you do when you're done with the praying? And now you begin the waiting. Help me read from Isaiah chapter 40.
Isaiah 40 and verse 31. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint.
Basically, there is a period in between your prayer and its fulfillment. So what do you do during that time? I want to maybe use a couple of examples. Abraham was believing God for a child. Abraham, the father of faith, right? Abraham waited 25 years for the promise of Isaac to come to pass. Now, it's easy to read all of these things and, Abraham was, and then he into his old age, then his wife Sarah bore a child and, But contextualize it. This is in the Hebrew society where as soon as you're married, people are looking at you like, where's the baby at? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. It wasn't a prophet who prophesied to Abraham. It was God himself. I've seen so many people struggling, but there's a word that Baba gave me. Huu ni mwaka wangu wa 4. This thing, mbona it's not coming to pass? What am I doing wrong? What have I missed? What is 25 years? He didn't hear it from his Baba. He heard it from his Abba Father. He's God. And yet, to God's own friend, God made him wait 25 years. Unajua Mungu ni wa ajabu sana. And I sometimes feel that anaweza akamchagua mtu kuwa fundisho. And based on how you handle that, it will determine your testimony. Abraham, who was a friend of God, he had once given tithe to God. Hivi, wine and bread alimpa. Someone who has communed with God. And God anasema, okay, najua kuna urafiki, lakini subiri. Sio mwaka, 25 years waiting for the promise of a child. And remember, by the time he's getting that promise, how old was he? He was over 70 when God is telling him that you shall have a child. And by the time he's having Isaac, he's close to 100. So kumbuka, by the time God is giving him a promise, ameshaishi miaka 70. Probably he married at, 20. So it's 50 years of complete silence over an issue that must have vexed him and Sarah greatly. Mmeoana miaka 50 ndani ya ndoa. No child. No promise of a child. Until you're 70. Over 70. Ndo Mungu anakuja na kuambia, I will give you a son. Do you think that by that time, when he receives the promise, that's when Abraham started praying for a son? He must have been praying for a son the moment he took a wife. So that's like 50 years of praying and waiting on God and believing God, and you're fellowshipping with him, and you're coming to church week in and week out. You're putting in the efforts. You're loving God. You're loving people. You're doing great exploits. And God is not telling you anything to do with that great desire in your heart. Paka miaka yako ya 70 huko, ndo Mungu anakuja anasema, I will give you a son. And then even after that, you wait an additional 25 years until that promise comes to pass. Wewe, it's been 3, 4, 7, 10 years. And you're losing heart. Hata mwaka, some of you 3 months. I think I need another church. Labda niende sijui nchi gani sasa. 25 years, father of faith, friend of God. From the day God gives him a promise to the day it's fulfilled. And another great number of years as he waited for God to even give him that promise. So how do we wait? We've prayed all of the things that we've prayed for these spirits to be manifested in us, for us to do great exploits. How do we do the waiting? Help me read Luke chapter 1 verse 13.
Luke chapter 1 and verse 13. But the angel said to him, do not be afraid, Zacharias, for your prayer is heard, and your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you shall call his name John.
So this story is about John the Baptist. Now, you think Abraham was old. Zacharias, he was old. Because even in verse 18, if you can just project it, he queries from God and says, God, how can it be, seeing as I am so old? So Abraham probably waited 75 years for the promise of God to come, and then another 25 for the fulfillment. Zacharias had waited over and above the period that Abraham waited. And when God is coming and telling him, I'm going to do this for you, he is so concerned that, God, my time is so far stretched. How can this ever happen? And this was the forerunner to Jesus, John the Baptist, who was supposed to be born. God is in the game of waiting. In the same chapter, verse 31, if you can just read it.
And behold, you will conceive in your womb and bring forth a son, and he shall call his name Jesus.
This is a promise given to who? Mary, the mother of Jesus. This was the virgin that was going to bring God himself manifested in flesh into the world. I would expect an instant miracle. And yet, even with the mother of Jesus, God made her wait. 9 months she carried this child with him kicking and moving around. And 9 months until she delivered. Not just an ordinary baby, God himself. God is a God who can make you wait. If he too did not short circuit this waiting process, we should also not lose heart and learn the art of waiting. So there's 4 keys in waiting. The first key, and I share this with you so that at the end of this, do not get discouraged if you see that, how come it's not happening? Basi labda mtumishi wa Mungu hakusikia kutoka kwa Mungu. Those 40 days were not of God. How come sijatoboa in this area? No. God is also a God who is interested in waiting. Yes, he can do it even now, even today, instantly. But there are times when he makes you wait. So the first key to waiting is you cannot wait for your harvest if you haven't sown the necessary seed. So when you're waiting for that harvest, have you sown the necessary seed in terms of prayer, in terms of faith, in terms of the declarations, in terms of the decrees, in terms of the inclination of your mind? Have you sowed enough in terms of meditating on that which you want to achieve for it to actually become a reality? Have you even sown the right seed financially? The man of God, he's announced to us the next Sunday is a special service. And we've been told, prepare a seed. Are you going to prepare and sow a seed in accordance to what you want to harvest? Or are you going to give any seed? You see, if you are waiting for a harvest that you've not sown for, it's the same as me going and sitting at an open field and waiting for a mango tree to grow, which I never planted. It will amount to nothing. So when we're waiting on God, have you sown the necessary seed to ensure your harvest? The bigger the harvest you want, let then your seed be proportional to it. Abraham had to sow a seed of faith to the level of him being able to get his Isaac. Is your faith at the level necessary for you to attain that thing that you're waiting on God for? I'm very conscious of time, so let me just... The second key, waiting is not passive, okay? When you're waiting on God, it is not a passive thing. In the Bible, waiting is always active. So what is active waiting? Active waiting is to be present fully in the moment as you're waiting on God to fulfill that desire with the conviction that something is indeed happening. What that means is you know the seed that you've sown and you are waiting in hope, in faith, and in confidence for your harvest. So it's not a time of being detached and I'm just so depressed, God is not, I've been waiting on God and He's not coming through for me. What are you doing in your waiting? Waiting is not a passive thing where you sit back and you just wait. Any moment now. Waiting is very active. Abraham's a great example. When he was waiting for Isaac, he did something that I think is absolutely insane. 1 year before Isaac was born, Abraham changed his name from Abram to Abraham. A man with no legitimate heir is now calling himself the father of many nations. It's easy to read these kind of things in the Bible. Inakuwa kama story. And Abraham changed his name and he was now Abraham. And Sarah from Sarai. And okay. But think of it like this. Abraham had a buddy, right? Lot. Imagine Abraham meeting Lot, his cousin. And Lot is like, Abram! And he's like, no. Don't call me Abram. Call me Abraham. I'm sure Lot was like, cousin, Did you drink too much of that camel milk? What are you talking about? Imagine the level of faith it needed for someone with no legitimate heir to now introduce himself and to name himself the father of many nations. And you don't have a son. Your wife isn't even pregnant yet because this was a year before Isaac was born. So Sarah didn't even have Isaac in her womb. It took another whole year until Isaac was conceived and born. Isaac wasn't even conceived yet. And while in the process of waiting for his Isaac, Abraham is saying, don't call me Abram, call me Abraham. I might not look like it now, but I'm a father to nations. It might not be manifest right now. I know there's Ishmael and I made some mistakes, but I know my God and I know that my name is Abraham. And it's not Abram. That's active waiting. You might not be so bold right now, but there needs to be a crazy people here who say, no, don't call me Leah, call me bold. I've been calling for the spirit of might. I might not be it right now. I might not have the boldness that I need. I might not be at that level that I want to be. But right now, I am stepping out in faith and I'm claiming this to be my own. And I'm walking out in this victory. Don't call me Leah. Call me bold. Call me wise. Call me excellent. Call me a victor. Call me a sign and a wonder. That's active waiting. You activate it. You activate your promise. You activate your prayer. You activate it through walking in faith. Active waiting. What are you saying? What are you speaking? As you continue in these days, when you're praying for that thing, when you're believing for that thing, how are you waiting on that thing? How are you waiting on that thing? Do you have the faith enough to say, call me Abraham? I'm the father to many nations. And yet when people look at you, there's nothing to your name with regards to a son. Active waiting. The third key to waiting, you wait in hope and openness. Read for me quickly Luke chapter 1 verse 38.
Then Mary said, Behold the maidservant of the Lord. Let it be to me according to your word. And the angel departed from her.
When you're waiting on God, it's giving up control and saying, God, let your will be done. Be it unto me as you will, O God. And that's why I talked about the importance of the inclination of the mind. If you don't know the will of God, you are praying out of alignment. Then what are you waiting on? But if you know that this is within His will, He made me a promise. I'm the father of nations. I'm going to keep waiting on Him. I'm going to keep believing on Him. I'm going to keep activating my faith and working towards that promise that He made me. Then you will be able to wait with openness. And you will be receptive and susceptible to the will of God. The last key to waiting is sometimes waiting is better done together. Help me with 1 Corinthians 11:26.
For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, you proclaim the Lord's death till He comes.
This was a commandment given, and this is really talking about the church. That as a church, we are waiting in unity for the return of our Savior. You know, Mary and Elizabeth, I'm reminded of them in the Bible. They waited together for the fulfillment of their prophecy of a child. Now, for Mary, she was just a young virgin. It was something really new for her. It was something she couldn't quite wrap her head around. It was something that made her be looked upon strangely. But Elizabeth was, I think, the complete opposite. Elizabeth, who was married to Zacharias, who himself said, God, I am so old. How can I bring forth John the Baptist? Elizabeth was the opposite of Mary. She was old. She had been waiting on the promise of a child for the longest amount of time. And these two people now waited together. And the Bible tells us when they met, the baby in Elizabeth's womb leapt. That's the importance of being part of a community. When you're waiting in isolation, my brother, my sister, it can be the toughest thing to go through. But when you come into a place such as this, with believers such as this, that baby in the inside of you begins to leap as you meet another believer who has something that is waiting to manifest. You know, for Elizabeth, you are so progressed in age. You are old. These days, when you go even 45, the doctors are telling you, this is a bit late for you to have a child. They were well past 45, Elizabeth and her husband Zacharias. So there must have been something in the mind of Elizabeth saying, am I going to carry this child to term? A senior citizen as myself, well beyond my years. Hata leo sijamsikia kama anacheza. Don't know, is this baby still there? You know, God made this promise to me, but me and Zacharias, we've been waiting on him all our lives. And now we find ourselves at a point where we are so old. Is this truly gonna come to pass? Am I ever gonna own that company that I long for? Am I ever gonna achieve that promotion, that elevation that I long for? This designer brand of mine, is it ever gonna go global? Am I ever going to design graphics that are going to change things, create systems, transform the world? Am I ever going to create a shift in the world of audit or in the world of medicine? This dream that I have inside of me, it's been waiting for so long. I don't even know if it's alive. And then you come to a place like this and that dream begins to leap. And then you begin to feel that maybe I can be more than what I am. And that dream, I can achieve it. And that promise of God is going to come to fulfillment because God's promises are yes and amen. Waiting is better done together. Don't isolate yourself. That's why I took time talking about the importance of loving each other. Create a space for you to wait with someone else. We've prayed. We have fasted. We are believing. We are holding firmly onto the promises of God. But now we have to wait. So how do we wait? You wait in the presence of believers such as this. Mnatiana moyo, my brother, my sister. Ebu tupambane. Mwaka huu, they have said, it is our time, it is our season, the season of our greatest testimony. God shall not leave us the same, but He's able to do exceedingly and not be a display of wisdom or might or counsel or the fear of God right now. But I know that I'm waiting with you, and together we're going to achieve it. Stand up on your feet. We have only 5 days left. This is not a church where we announce something because it's in fashion. We don't announce something because everybody's doing it. In fact, I think nobody's really doing a fast right now. Most people fasted in January. Doorkeepers, you can just start coming up. But this is a place where the man of God, he hears from God. He possesses that inclination of the mind to be able to see the season that we are about to enter, to be able to see what is about to be released, to be able to see where we need to go, to be able to see what we need to do. So even in these remaining days, and even in the days to follow, may we really profit, not in the physical aspect. That's okay. It's okay to want a new job and a better pay and, that car, that house. That's okay. But let us profit in what truly matters. Let us profit on the inside. Let us be better people because of the time that we've had, because of the time that we've spent with God. May a transformation take place. I want us to pray right now for that Spirit of God to help us to love Him and to love His people, to help us to have faith, to not just wait passively, but to be able to wait actively on His promises. What we've been believing for, Father, that He shall give us a grace. Come on, wherever you are, I can't pray it for you. There's only a few days left. That this fast is not going to just be something that we did, but it's going to be a new time, a new season in our lives for an unlocking of greatness to have taken place. Father, for a shift in our hearts to have taken place. Lord, I don't want to remain the same selfish person that I was. I want to be consumed with the affairs of others. I want to ooze love. I want to pour out love. I want to be a divine expression of your love. Father, may I grow in my love for you so that I can grow in my fear of you. Father, may I reverence you as a result of my love. Father, that your love is going to saturate me. When I speak with love. When I think with love. When I do with love. When I serve with love. When I give with love. Father, may your love overflow. Father, may a change of heart take place. May a change of mind take place. I don't want to be an empty vessel, a vessel that makes noise, but I don't love my neighbor. I want to be a person who can cause a change. Father, do something on the inside of me. I know that I'm so weak as a person. I have so many shortcomings, but Father, help me to love you more. I know that I might be weak as an individual, and I'm waiting on you for so many things. Father, help me to wait faithfully on you. Help me to be an active waiter as I have prayed for the spirit of the fear of God, for the spirit of wisdom, for the spirit of knowledge, for the spirit of might, for the spirit of counsel. Father, help me to be able to wait actively. Help me to be able to activate the faith that is needed. Father, that these days are going to be days that have transformed me entirely, that I'm going to be a new person. The love of God, the love of God, the love of God, the love of God, the Spirit of God, the Spirit of God, the Spirit of God, the Spirit of God, the inclination of the mind, the right mindset, the right mindset. Father, may we be a blessing to people. May we be a blessing to people. May we be the right kind of people. Father, may we be the right kind of people. I speak an awakening of giants in this place. I speak an awakening of spiritual giants in this place. We shall not be conformed to the things of this world. Father, that we shall not like and lust after divine encounters with you, and yet we fail to love your people. Father, may we grow in our encounters with you, but may we grow in love for you and for your people. Father, create in me a new heart. Father, change me from the inside out. I don't want to be the same again. I don't want to be the same again. I want to be a woman that they call blessed. I want to be a man that they call blessed. Father, I want my children to rise up and call me blessed. Lord, I'm believing in you that you are able to do exceedingly and abundantly above everything that I could have hoped for. Lord, I I thank you for your faithfulness. I thank you for your goodness. I thank you for the change. I thank you for the shift. I thank you for the transformation. I thank you for the new chapter. I thank you for the testimonies. I thank you for the way that you are moving in this place. God, as we enter into a new season, that your grace shall be sufficient, that your grace shall be released. Father, that we may know you more, that we may grow in you. Yatemo shata, yeketetetete, yebabo shotare, yekerebo sha, yandebo sakate, yakaterebo, yobobo, yate, yere, yebo, shate, keteketebo, yababo sha, yande, yerebo, kotiana, yakate, yebo shoto, Father, that we shall be people of divine wisdom, divine understanding, divine grace, divine counsel, divine might, divine strength, divine understanding. Father, that we shall be a sign and a wonder, that the world shall look to us and call us blessed. Father, I speak even over this church, that we shall be a church of a difference, that we shall be a church that is able to change the nation, that we shall be a church that is able to change the city. God, we speak over this nation, that you shall saturate this nation with your love, that you shall saturate this nation with your love. Father, that we might be tools of love to all that we encounter, to all that we meet. Father, help us to be faithful to your call. Father, help us to be faithful to your commandments. Father, help us to be faithful to the action of the Holy Spirit. Father, help us to continue to grow in you. Help us, Father, to continue to grow in you. More wisdom, more strength, more divine authority, Father. May we not be swayed by the things of this world. May we not be moved. May our faith be planted in you. Lift up your hands. His promises are yes and amen. Yes. And even as we have taken time to draw closer to Him, yes, we weren't praying for material things. We weren't longing for material things, but we took time to pray for spiritual things. Yes. Because we now have an understanding that things flow from the inside out. Yes. And we are not defined or determined by what is exterior, but we are defined and determined by what is inside of us. Yes. So may you receive a new grace to walk with the move of the Spirit. May you receive greater sensitivity to be able to follow and go the direction that God leads you. May you walk in a new season with regards to your prayer life, with regards to your devotion, with regards to the presence, the way that you feel the presence of God, a new dimension of your relationship and your walk with God. We cannot dedicate all this time and you remain the same. So I decree and declare that you are a new creation, that transformation has taken place, that you shall not think the same, that you shall not reason the same, that you shall not doubt the same, that you shall not be fearful, but we shall walk in the realization that our God is able to do exceedingly and abundantly. You are blessed and highly favored.